Okay, let's get to it. Really excited to have our guest with us today. Of course, that's Santiago Arana. Before we get started, we were talking about this yesterday, and I think we need to mention something as it relates to where we are in our business. We kind of take this time of year for granted, with good reason. I mean, we've been locked up for what seems like a couple of years now, and things are opening up, and of course, kids are out of school. We're going to the lakes. We're going on vacation, we're camping, whatever it might be. We're enjoying the summer, which is natural. It's okay, that's fine. But you blink your eyes and boom, it's October, right? So sometimes we can lose sight of where we are kind of like in terms of hitting our goals, right? And where we are, in terms of the year. We're in the second half of the year now, second half of the year. So it's great to have an MVP guest like we do today, just as a reminder to stay focused, because Santiago, as I said, is not just another luxury real estate agent in Southern California. I want you to pay attention to his bio just briefly. I had to really condense this. As Santiago knows, he's ranked as high as top 10 in the country. He's gained a reputation as one of the most distinguished real estate agents in Los Angeles. He's been featured in Real Trends, Wall Street Journal for 7 consecutive years. He specializes in high-end residential real estate and new construction in Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Sunset Strip, Pacific Palisades, Brentwood, Santa Monica, and Malibu. To date, Santiago has closed over $3 billion worth of real estate and counting, nearly $1 billion in sales volume in 2 years alone. He's known for record-breaking deals in almost every pocket of Los Angeles, working with A-list celebrities. We established this Santiago, the best dressed agent in real estate. That was established at the last boot camp. That was official. He had a Brunello Cucinelli suit, which it was incredible that I guessed it on the first try. First try, I did that. It was crazy. Anyway, Santiago, welcome to the GPG Mastermind this week.
Thank you so much, David, and thank you for everybody that is here. I feel every time I get in a podcast or in any of these events, I feel so humbled and proud at the same time, and very grateful that you guys want to hear what I have to say. So I'm happy to share any insight, any opinions, or any feedback that I have on my actually experience, right? Because I can only speak for what my experience is. So let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. We're going to get into that today. We're going to get into your business, the industry, personal development, a few other subjects in the time that we actually have. But first, I want to get an update on the year to date in the world of luxury real estate in Southern California. Of course, we've heard the stories and the legends about how hot the market has been. But maybe tell us how the year started, how it's going, and what the reason is for the hot market in your opinion. Can you do that? Maybe just give us a breakdown or a summary.
Absolutely. So, I'm looking at it, everything as a company owner, what's happening as a whole, right? I can speak to you about me personally, and this is probably going to be the best year I ever had in my career, 18 years for sure, by far. When I start analyzing or talking with my partners, with Mauricio, and we're looking at company-wide, I mean, every agent is going to do amazing. And then we expanded even a little bit more into different companies. I think that everybody's going to have a fantastic year. What are the reasons for it? I think there's a combination of things that they got us to be where we are, right? Obviously, the virus started it, which is very strange, because if someone would ask me what happened the first month when we got hit with the virus in 2020, I was thinking about what I was going to do now that finally the market was going to go down, right? Because everybody's talking about the market adjusting or the bubble since 2016, 2017, and that hasn't happened, and it didn't happen because, the different regulations and the interest rates kept going low. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday that's been in the business for over 30 years, and we're just chatting, and he was telling me back in the day when people were getting 30-year fix at 18.5% interest. Can you imagine? Yep. And now, this is crazy. So obviously the interest rates have been a big part of it, But I think what happened with the virus is It has changed a lot of things from lifestyle preferences and priorities in people's lives. And what I observe in my market and what I observe in the Florida market, which by the way, I'm going to be opening a few offices in Florida. I individually purchased the franchise for the agency in Florida, and I'm going to be launching 4 or 5 offices all the way from Palm Beach down to Coral Gables and Coconut Grove, Bal Harbor, Fort Lauderdale, all that area. So, and what's happening there, for example, on markets, I mean, in general, all the high-end markets have gone up because, I mean, we can talk about like wealthy people, right? I mean, super high-end, wealthy people became more wealthy, you know? I mean, I had clients that called me in August last year, and they went from like, hey, we're thinking about upgrading our house. And, you know, I sold them a house for $4.5 million, $5 million. I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, he's going to upgrade probably to an $8 million house. I'm like, so what is the upgrade price that you're looking at? 20 to 30. I'm like, what happened? How do you do that? You know, leap jump, you know? And the reality is like a lot of people were invested in the stock market, made a ton of money. Also, the priorities have changed, right? When people before felt like, you know, they didn't need a gym in the house because they have to go to a gym, or they like to go to the office, or all the things that you need to do, or vacations, you know, like a lot of people in the high end take very expensive vacations, and all of a sudden you're stuck in here or wherever you were without being able to travel. Oh, okay, well, I'm not going to travel, so what we should do, we should get a better house. Yes, now you both work at the house, husband and wife, husband, wife, whatever it is. You know, now we both need office spaces. We need a killer gym. Oh, the kids are going crazy. We need a bigger yard. So the needs of individuals have gotten to go into getting bigger houses, you know, and that activates the market. And then what happens is everybody's doing this movement. And then there is also the movement of people saying, oh, I'm going to get out of the state because the taxes are too high, or things are changing. Let's move to Florida. Let's move here. Let's move to Montana. Let's move to Idaho. Let's move to Utah. Let's move whatever everybody started to move. So when there is movement, it's like energy, right? It creates friction, and that what it does is it gives a positive perception to the consumer. And when the consumer sees a positive perception, what they do, they feel confidence, and they go and spend, and they go and buy, and they're like, oh, the market is not going anywhere, so I'm gonna buy. In addition to that, then you have buyers that are like, oh, let's ask this. If we get it, we sell, and they're getting it, right? They're putting numbers that they're getting it. So like all this is like a snowball effect, you know, interest rates, perception, needs, Corona, everything just became the perfect storm, and the market just is on fire, and it continues to be on fire. It continues to be on fire here in Los Angeles. It's definitely a seller's market still. Properties are selling now. Yes, you do have instances where people are overpricing by too much, but it's very simple. As soon as you adjust the price, immediately sells, and in multiple offers. So super active market. This is very exciting. I'm you know, very, very grateful more than anything to be in an industry that thrived through this unfortunate, very rough year for everybody. And, you know, I'm compassionate, and my thoughts go with people that were in services businesses and restaurant businesses and other kind of businesses that unfortunately didn't do that well, you know, and they did really bad. We in real estate were very blessed to just, you know, what happened to us.
Good to get your perspective and breakdown. I appreciate that. And congratulations on the new offices. Thank you. Monique is on here. Monique, did you hear that, Monique? Anyways, moving on. I think Monique's on there,
I heard.
Yeah, there you go. Florida, Monique. No camera, but anyways, that's okay, Monique. We'll let it pass. So Santiago, besides a hot seller's market, high demand for real estate in your market, I know how hard you work. I know your work ethic. I know your story. You had another award-winning year, right? I think it was number 4 in California, number 60 in the US. That's not a fluke. You know, there's a lot of factors, you know, time management, follow-up, organization, consistency, a lot of these things. From your perspective, what's been the biggest contributor to your success over the past year and a half? Maybe top 3 reasons for your success in the past few months, and why you had another record-breaking year.
I mean, look, I come from a little bit of a different place, and some people might find this a little bit out there, but as I explained this in many talks, seminars, and everything, for me, it all comes from within, right? So I believe that the reason that I do what I do, and in the way how I do it, and my success is because I'm in alignment with who I am and what I want and what I think about life, right? Starting my day, wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I keep like upping it now because I keep learning that, I just came back from actually a 1 week retreat with Joe Dispenza in Colorado. And I'm just constantly looking to learn and to improve myself and to become a better version of myself. And so I learned now that, the melatonin levels are higher, between 1 and 4 in the morning. So I'm getting closer to wake up at 4 in the morning because I was there for a week doing meditations some days at 4 in the morning. And there's a really, really big difference. So for me, it's like waking up in the morning and having that time for myself and connect and meditate and quiet my environment to know who I am and what I want. Give time for myself to exercise and to eat healthy are the most important things. To spend time with my family, with my kids. I took one of my kids to school already. I'm waiting for the next one to take him to camp. So those to me are the most important things. And if you start from a place where you are giving in a selfish way time for yourself or what's important for you, then you're in a place where you can go and do everything else out there. Now, once you're out there, you got to work. There's no better currency than sweat and work, right? Bitcoin, cash, whatever you have, there's no better currency for success than tears and sweat. And you got to work hard, and it's just being out there and being prepared and look at the opportunities and just be there for your clients and work hard.
I think you got into the Wim Hof stuff lately too, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a big change to my life. I mean, I'm a big advocate of it. I can't live without the cold water therapy. Just take note, everyone. Start with the cold showers today. Maybe the ice bath's a little extreme at first. They'll change your life though.
It's amazing.
Santiago agrees. It's endorsed. Yeah. So the second half of the year has officially started, as we referenced at the beginning of our discussion. It might be easy to lose track of where we are in the timeline, as it relates to our goals and performance markers. Why is it important to pay attention to those goals and performance markers on a regular basis, especially this time of year?
Well, it gives you direction, right? Give this analogy before. It's like jump in a taxi and if you don't know where you're going, it will be a very long and expensive trip, right? You need to know where you're going. You need to keep checking on where you're going, right? So for me, I check my goals regularly. I have a board in my office that everybody sees, and I put monthly goals, I put trimestral goals, and I put every half a year goals, and then the year goal, the final year goal. And when you track and you keep looking at what you're doing, it's visual. It comes, you look at it, you know where you are, you know where you're standing, you know what you need to adjust, you need to work a little harder or not. And be prepared for it. So it's very important to keep track of what you're doing and where you are in the year, right?
Now, we have a lot of new agents, first-year agents on this call here. So I want to go back and talk about some of the principles and foundations of your actual real estate business. I've asked you about this before, but that's why people are here to kind of hear from you from that perspective. So again, focusing on the new agent, what would you say was the biggest secret to your success in the early days? We've talked about this. You had tremendous success, it seems like almost from day one, and then you moved quickly into the high-end luxury market in Southern California. How did you do that?
Well, look, actually, it wasn't a successful day one. For actually an entire year when I started, I only sold one condo in a whole year. That was $458,000. I did double-ended it though, but it was the one sale.
Hey.
So it wasn't easy. And then for the next 3.5 to 4 years, I had to continue waiting tables to be able to get cash to bring home as I was doing real estate already. So it wasn't all like it started and cranking, but one of the things again is going back to knowing what you want, knowing who you are, and setting up goals and finding tools and ways how you can keep in track, right? Because it's a tough business, there's a lot of rejection. So what I have to say about rejection is the ability to move on the nose, then in the escrow they don't happen, on the things, on the doors they slam in your face. The ability to just move on and go to the next one is a big one. A lot of people tend to get hung up in the escrow didn't happen and they keep talking about it. It's like the parking ticket that you get, right? You get a parking ticket and you get upset and you get those feelings of how mad you are, and it takes the attention from what's actually important. And then you go to your house and you put it in your nightstand, and then you wake up the next day and you look at it again and you get upset again. and then you move it to the kitchen, and then you go and have breakfast the next day, and you look at it in the kitchen. And it's like, why you do that? Just go. As soon as I get a ticket, the first thing I do is give it to my assistant, or I grab a check, write it, gone, done, move on. Same thing with the escrows. An escrow that was difficult, it didn't happen. Okay, what do you learn from that experience? Is there anything that you could have done differently that you couldn't do it, at the moment, but you can do in the future to learn from it? And if there's everything you did and it's not your fault, then just it's not your fault. Just move on. Having the ability to figure out what are the things that you can control and what are the things that you cannot control. Okay, the things that we cannot control: coronavirus, economy, world problems. You can control that. So like, why would you worry about trying to fix something that you won't be able to make? Anything. Let's focus on the things you can control. What can I control? Can I go door knocking 100 doors now this week? Yes. So let's do that. Can I make 80 phone calls? Let's do that. Can I send 200 letters? Let's do that. Can I call my clients and touch base with them? Can I see open houses? I mean, just start focusing on what you can do, and then new things are going to start coming up, because you keep focusing on the door to close. You won't see the garage that is open, the 20 windows that are open, and the 14 other doors that are opening,
Man, that's such a good point. Control what you can, right? And if you realize that there's some things you cannot control, it relieves so much stress. And that concludes the interview with Santiago.
No, sorry. I just realized my phone was like, I got the notification.
All good. We've talked about this before, but I think it's such a good topic, and that's building credibility as a new or young agent. What can you talk about as it relates to building credibility for a new agent?
I think it starts with confidence and knowing your craft, right? I mean, how can you gain credibility if you're new? By being knowledgeable, right? So you need to know your market. You need to know your contracts. You really need to know what you're doing and you're talking about. And in the beginning, you will have the time to do that, right? I mean, I remember sitting and looking at the MLS for hours, picking an area and just looking what just sold, what sold dollar per square, what new construction sold dollar per square, what are land selling dollar per square, what about in this area, why this side of the street more expensive than the other side of the street, and just go in the field and walk. And like today is Tuesday, for example, I'm going to go as many open houses as I can go. I still need to go and look what's out there. I need to learn the product. I need to know who's my competition. I need to know who is in the business. I need to, build relationships with another agents, which is a super important thing. So if you get all that in place and you learn and you're prepared, that's how you get credibility, because there will be that opportunity that you're sitting in an open house and someone is going to walk in and is going to say, hey, beautiful house, but this is not for me. Do you see the house on the street over? 19th Street. Which one? Gone. You lost that lead. That person goes to the next open house to the agent that's like, oh yeah, the house with a funny pool in the back. Yeah, that one, I like it. How much do you think it's worth? Oh, I think it's worth this. I think that, blah, blah, blah. So if you know your stuff, like talking about luck, right? Preparation meets opportunity, right? In that moment is your opportunity. And if you're not prepared, you're just going to go by, right? So, and then knowing also and understanding and being able to talk more with people like this is going to raise your level of confidence. And when you talk to sellers, when you talk to buyers, they pick up in the level of confidence that you have like this. And you have a very small amount of time with people for these opportunities and for them to want to do business with you, to trust you, to see that and have the credibility. So nothing better than preparing yourself and putting yourself out there for these kind of things. And then building the confidence, I mean, look, in the beginning is very difficult because you don't have the list of sold listings that you would like to have when you go and see it in a listing appointment and say, hey, by the way, I sold 20 properties last year in this area. But you can be smart about it and you can leverage on maybe your companies. And that's one of the things that we do at the agencies, that we allow our agents to collaborate and say, hey, we as a company have sold 50 properties in this area. There's ways how you can go about it. So where people like, you just need to be smart about it and just kind of in the beginning swing these little things and be prepared and be honest also. And then eventually happens, and then you have the problem I have right now. It's like I go to open house, like, oh, you're too busy for me. This house is too small for you. There's always something, right? In the beginning, it's like you didn't sell enough. And now it's like, you're too busy for me. You need to find ways how to explain that. And what I tell my clients is like, look, if I'm here and I'm going to take a listing, I'm not busy for you. I might be busy for someone else that I didn't want to work with. But once I decide to work with someone, you become my client, and I always have time for my clients. So it's just always finding the way how to respond to that, you know.
Man, that's incredible advice. How to build credibility for a first-year agent, a new agent. Pay attention. I think it's important. Let's talk about marketing just for a brief minute here. What would you say has been your most effective marketing tactic or technique throughout your career?
I think that consistency is the most important thing. You know, there's no one thing that you can do that, or you know, the biggest, colorful, most beautiful double-page ad in a magazine when a newspaper or publication or whatever you do is just one. And if you do that one and spend all your marketing dollars in the one biggest, nicest piece, well, you touch people once. For me, is why don't you get something smaller, classy, nice, done well, and be consistent. Just do it once a month if you have the ability to do it. Once you get a little bit more money, do it once a week. So because people are not going to be looking at the paper at the same time. So if every weekend someone opens a paper or opens a magazine, which are becoming less important ways how to advertise, but even in social media, when internet or whatever, just consistency, you know, just keep doing it. You know, you don't put an ad out there and expect to get a listing immediately from that. It happens. But if you put 12 ads a year as opposed to one or two, then your chances are increasing substantially. So I would think consistency. Marketing for me, the cheapest, best marketing that has always worked the best for me is sitting open houses and flooding the city with my signs. It's free. You're there. People see it when they go to breakfast. People see it when they come back from lunch, and people see it when they go to dinner. Leave your signs out there the whole freaking day and let people see that you're busy.
That's super smart. You know, we've said that a million times to new agents. You got nothing to do, sit in open house, you know, make things happen, right? And that costs nothing to do, costs nothing. So that's important. Now you've touched on this before, but I want to ask a specific question about it because it's so important, and that's differentiating yourself from the competition by having something the other agent doesn't. Having the success you've had in your career, you've had to differentiate yourself. That's a fact, you know, especially from your competition, separating yourself. So why is it so important for agents to have unique selling propositions, uniques in a highly competitive industry?
So one of the things that I can tell you is what makes you unique is that it's you, right? You are unique because there's not two of you. So when people try to copy too much or try to be somebody else, that's a problem, right? So what was different from me? I have a very thick accent. I'm not from here. I'm dark, I'm skinny, I'm tall, whatever it is, right? You figured out who you are, right? And you own that, right? This is who I am. And this is what I'm good at it. I never jump into doing cold calls because I'm sure that if I got in a phone call in the beginning where my accent was a lot thicker than it is right now, believe it or not, and my English was terrible, right? Because I learned English in 2003 when I moved here, and I was doing real estate in 2004 already. That was not a good way for me to do it. So I just knew that wasn't the way I wanted to go. What was good for me though, was sitting in open houses or having the one-on-one with people by door knocking, because I like people. I relate to people. People like me because I'm friendly. So I said, okay, so that's what I'm good at. So that's what I'm going to be doing, you know? So you need to understand who you are, what you're good at, and what you're not good at it. And it's okay. We don't need to be all Michael Jordans, you know, great at basketball. We don't need to be all great at something specific. There's something that you're unique, and bring that unique value proposition on who you are. And someone will hate you and someone will love you, you know, and you can't make everybody happy. But then what you do is you start working with people that you are mind like, right? Like everybody that likes the same thing. They feel the energy, they feel your way of being, your personality. And guess what? You build a relationship with clients and you build a portfolio with people that are like you, and you'll be the happiest agent as opposed to be working with people that you don't relate to, or you just need to pretend to be somebody else to make them happy, and then you're miserable. And for what?
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. You need to pay attention to it though, and I think that's a really smart advice. So, but we all like you. We all like you, Santiago. So that's good. I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but what, you know, we did talk about it just a few minutes ago, talking about credibility for new agents, but specifically 3 pieces of advice you would give a new real estate professional starting their career.
3 pieces of advice. I mean, number 1, I would say inundate yourself with your market. learn as much as you can and know as much as you can about the market that you are in. I mean, you need to know everything that is happening, what's selling, what the record sales are. You need to know everything. You need to be prepared for anyone that comes and have a conversation and be able to address, maybe not in super depth, but to some level of knowledge of your market, right? Two, scheduling. If you don't, I learned this from Tony Robbins. If it's not in your schedule, it's not real. So I schedule everything. I schedule haircut, I schedule doctor appointments, I schedule picking up this, I'm scheduling listing appointments, I schedule making calls, I schedule even like, specific things with clients, picking up this for this client, calling this client because it's the daughter's birthday. You need to schedule everything. Your schedule needs to look like a beautiful rainbow, right? That's a super important thing to me. Like, to start scheduling and start getting busy. And in the beginning, I remember I didn't have 10 listing appointments a week or a month or whatever. I didn't have this and that, but I start filling up with like, I'm door knocking from 2 to 5. I'm now sending letters from 6 to 8. I'm doing this. And out of the setting, I'm like, I'm busy. And that feeling that you're busy, you're doing something, you feel good about yourself. You finish your day and you're like, shit, I've done a lot today, right? That's a good feeling to go to bed with, right? As opposed to like, oh man, I never got any calls. I didn't meet anyone. What I'm doing, maybe I should go back to the restaurant business, or maybe I should go and get back into the hair salon again. And that's how people get distracted, So that's two.
We always say success.
3.
Yeah. Oh, that's 2.
One more.
Yeah, 3. You're going to blow up my spot though. I'm going to totally forget.
The third one is execution, man. I mean, I think that in any business, when anything in the world, and I ask this question to a number of the most successful people or clients that I have, I always ask, so tell me in the beginning and this, when was it? What is it? I always am asking questions. And almost everyone has said it's execution, because people humans by nature drop the ball, example, I went to this seminar, I'm all fired up, and we're doing meditations and all this stuff over there, or you go to whatever it is, and you come back fired up. And for the first week, you're like doing everything they told you. You learned this, you're great. You're talking to all your friends about all the things that you learned and everything. Week 2, you out of the setting, yeah, today I'm a little tired. I skip one day, it's fine. I'm doing 4 anyway, so I'll skip a day. The 3rd week, the 4th week, and the 5th week, then you just drop the ball. And most people drop the ball. So like execute, if you can execute and just be consistent and do everything and just keep it for a long period of time, right? Then that's golden.
Great advice. Hopefully you were taking notes. That was 3 pieces of advice for new agents in terms of the breakdown. I did want to go back to your second point, just really briefly. We had Ryan Serhant on the show a couple times, and he said basically the same thing as you. Your job as a real estate agent at the end of the day is like, have you generated a lead? Have you done that? What did you do today to generate a lead or leads, right? That's your job as a real estate agent. So I thought you touched on that really, really well. Okay, 2 questions left, Santiago. 2 questions. The first one is, just talking about luxury real estate, what advice would you give a new real estate agent wanting to break into the luxury market? How do you suggest they approach the business?
Look, I mean, you want to jump in the ultra high or the super high end business, then go and see open houses from the big agents in your office. I mean, I'm sure there are busy big agents in your office that they have enough listings where they can allow you to sit. That if you don't have them, go and sit those open houses, right? Start living that, start being exposed to the buyers. They're going to walk in an open house that they can afford those kind of houses, right? By sitting on the small ones, you're not going to get the big ones. I mean, yes, it's possible. You get experience, and then one day you'll go in a gradual way to work your path up there. But if you really want to do just the high end and you want to jump into that, well, let's just do that. Just go and hang out in the places. You're going to meet the people. They're going to get you to do that. Go and see the open houses from the agents. They have big listings that they don't have the time to, service them all. Just put that, as part of your routine,
Great advice. And the final question, Santiago, this one's a doozy. In your opinion, what will be the most important thing for real estate agents to focus on in a post-pandemic real estate industry? I put a lot of thought into that question.
Yeah, what's the most important thing that agents should focus on the post-pandemic?
Yeah, it's good, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's great, but it's also very simple, right? It's more of the same. I mean, what's post-pandemic mean? I mean, what's going to happen? I see that we have an active market right now. I think that the current reality is what you have, and that's what you should be doing, right? Post-pandemic, what's going to happen is maybe we'll have less Zoom calls, and you'll have the ability to go and meet more people. So, with even more reason, why don't you prepare yourself better so when the doors open and you can actually for those estates. And now, look, I'm making general statements, right? There's places where maybe you cannot have open houses. I'm just talking as a general terms, but well, if everything's going to open up and you're going to be good and you're going to be able to go out there and meet people and people are going to be more comfortable, like be more prepared because there'll be, more business to make, right? So I think it goes back to the same basics, post pandemic, during pandemic. I mean, during pandemic was the same thing, right? The first month I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I think most of the world will, right? By the second month, I was like, you know what? Clients calling me wants to see properties. Let's go out. Let's take care of ourselves. Let's take the precautions we need to take. But by April last year, I was out and showing properties every day.
Yeah, really good advice. Something to think about. The whole point here is to be prepared, right? I think that's the whole point. Just be prepared for different scenarios. Because I think what happened with this whole thing, it did punch a lot of people in the mouth, not knowing what to expect, and then coming out of it a little bit. There's this panic buying. People are having years of their career, weeks, months of their career. It's been fantastic. So, anyway, something to think about. Santiago.
Also, what kind of person you want to be, right? You want to be the person that during the pandemic is sitting in the living room, memorizing all the TV shows available in Netflix and eating every single chip that is in your pantry, or you want to prepare yourself and go in the MLS and learn the contract. I mean, I just wonder how many agents have actually read the entire purchase agreement or listing agreement, like from A to Z, right? Read it. It will serve you so well one day when you're sitting with someone and that's, have you ever got that client that calls you like, hey, and you're driving, right? You're driving, thinking about something else. And some client calls you and he's like, hey, I have a question. Paragraph 14B, what does that mean? If you don't know the contract, you'll be like, you don't have the contract with you, right? But if you know the contract by heart, then you can be like, well, this is what is that. What this means, I mean, and every state is different. So I don't want to give a specific example. I mean, here in California, it talks about the inspections and stuff like that. But what you need to do is, how about that? I mean, use the pandemic to prepare yourself better, to motivate, to learn all the things that you normally don't have the time to do when you're showing houses and doing the normal stuff, and then do it, right? Learn the contract, learn the market, go in the MLS, see what's happening, what the sales are. So then when you come out, that you're prepared.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Again, I think the people that came out of this like Hercules were the ones who really focused on their personal development, read the books, did whatever, to, seek knowledge sooner or more knowledge in general. As our broker just said, yes, please read contracts. Chris said that in the chat. Well said, Chris, from a broker. Anyways, fantastic advice. This has been a clinic. Great breakdown, everyone. Super thankful to have Santiago with us today. Thank you very much, brother. I always appreciate your time. You're so well liked here and everywhere. It's such a privilege to talk to you. Thank you very much, Santiago. You can sign off for the day and get to your cold water therapy if you'd like. You can stick around. It's totally up to you. But anyways, thank you. Thank you very much. So many takeaways today. Thanks a million, Santiago. Shout out to a few people on here.
Thanks for having me again. You guys are awesome. I appreciate everything. I appreciate the nice props too. And again, for me, it's like if I can bring a little, piece of wisdom or experience or anything that they can serve everybody that is listening here, that makes me very happy. So guys, go get it.